I saw this story on a current affair, and I was just getting all the resources together to make a video. And I actually went to the Pie Man's channel. I always stop off at his channel, and Woodrow and PK and AML and Smoking, and just have a look to see if they've got anything up that I can watch. And yeah, the Pieman's already done a video on this. I wasn't actually going to bother finishing off my video, but mine's in a slightly different style. I'm not trying to compete with him or anything. The way we do our videos is completely different. He does it in a style different to mine, and he covers things that I don't cover, and I think I cover things that he doesn't cover. So I'm going to soldier on with this video and then finish it off. All right, so let's get into it.
Policeman Roger and his wife agreed to host an international student in their home.
Okay, right from the get-go, there appears to be a gross spelling mistake there, because this is an act of terror. She's been charged with terrorism. It's been terror all the way along. And for some reason, they've intentionally changed terror to horror. Now, they've done it for a reason. I'll just be honest, I haven't figured out what that reason is. But there's definitely some psychologist somewhere and the strategists have put horror there. Now, maybe terror is starting to get a bit lame and people aren't as horrified by terror as what they used to be. So they're now associating terror with horror, just adding another adjective. I really don't know, but there's a specific reason why they have put horror instead of terror when it is supposedly this story is about an act of terror. Just before I go any further, I just want to touch on how I've approached this vid. Now, these stories that they put on a current affair, if they wanted you to know all of the information about it and there were no lies in there, they would give you in a chronological order. They would show you the sequence of events. In this case, she was in the house, she went and grabbed a knife, she stabbed him, and he went outside, and whatever the sequence of events, someone called 000, and then the police came. You would hear that, and then they would, once you had that bedded down, you would then go to the witness, and you listen to the witnesses. They've got a few witnesses there, or just one. Then the relative, in this case it's the wife, and then go to the police at the end of it, and then here's what's happening. So it's very clear. That's how any kind of class in a uni would be given, or in a classroom. That it would be logical, and it would build, and you would have the separate elements bedded down before you moved on to the next one. But that's not what they do. Here's how they edit the story so that, and they purposely do it because if they did it as per the sequence of events, you would see the gaps and the holes in it. So what I've done is I have taken the video and I have, as best as I can, tried to break it up into the different elements and put them in chronological order. So that way it's clearer to see where the lies are, because all they want out of this video is, out of this story, is for a couple of points and perceptions for people to get, and because there's lies in there, they can't do it like a normal lecture so you fully understand. They don't want you to fully understand. They want it to be a bit confusing, but look, here's the points. It's terror and it's ongoing.
2 days later, Roger claims the 24-year-old attacked him with a large knife as he slept with his daughter.
And we were having an afternoon nap.
You had your daughter in your arms?
Yeah.
Look, fair dinkum, I'm up to about take 6 on this because I just cannot stop fucking laughing. Some of these scripts are just so fucking funny. But anyway, first of all, 2 things with this little scene that they've just described there. Well, there's standing in the middle of a room and they're sort of pointing at that's where he was asleep. There's no bed. There's no chair. That's a bit of a mystery. And he's sleeping with his daughter, holding her. I mean, having an afternoon nap for him. He's a shift worker. That's fair enough. What are the chances she was to sleep at exactly the same time? And what does he need to hold her while he's asleep? Oh, because that way they could include her in the story. And we'll see why it's important that she's included in the story a bit later on.
You're having your afternoon nap?
Yeah.
Because you're a shift worker?
Yes, I am. And I got waken up by my daughter, the screaming from my daughter.
For some reason, that's not what he told the Herald Sun as to why he woke up.
Roger Singaravalu told the Herald Sun he felt a sharp pain in his neck on February 9 and woke up to see a woman leaning over him with a kitchen knife in her hand.
Now, there's nothing complicated about that story. There's no way the Herald Sun could have got it wrong. So it seems like the story is changing to include his daughter more into the story. There's a reason why.
And the next minute, I saw Shoma was standing, kneeling on a knee here.
He initially said that Mama was standing, and then he said, no, kneeling. Now, there's no furniture. anywhere near that part of the house. I'm trying to figure out exactly what he was sleeping on, because that's a tile floor. So he couldn't have been sleeping on the tile floor. We strays to put a mattress there when you just go to bed. Like, why exactly in that part of the house did the stabbing take place where there's no furniture at all? Like, if there was a chair there, why would it still be there now? It just, you could show us, or just say, oh, it was on a chair I was sitting. It doesn't make any reference to what he was sleeping on or how he was sleeping, except that he was sleeping holding his daughter in his arms, and now Mum is kneeling next to him. Okay, make of that what you will.
leaning against me with a kitchen knife. She was holding the handle. All she was keeping saying, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar.
Allah Akbar. Oh, look, that leaves absolutely no doubt that this was a terror attack, not a horror attack, is what was written at the start of the story, but it's a terror attack. It's always good when someone committing a crime always spells out their motives, especially when that motive forms part of the offence, so that they could be convicted.
I was pleading with her for a good 4.5 minutes.
I'm very sure that it was 4.5 minutes, not 4 minutes, not 5, but 4.5, not 4 3/4. No, it's 4.5. And I'm sure that's what he's going to say. That's what he told police in his sworn statement and what he'll say in court. In 4.5 minutes, that's an eternity in any kind of conflict or physical battle. I mean, a boxing round only goes 3 minutes. So for 4.5 minutes, from the time that her assault started, I mean, that's 270 seconds. That's 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 270 times. Well, she's got a knife there.
And say, please let go, Shoma, please let go, we will talk. Now I told my daughter, run, Shaila, run.
Okay, so what actually happened in that 4.5 minutes? Now, he doesn't say whether he was stabbed where in that 4.5 minutes he was stabbed, right at the start, towards the end, in the middle. Although the Herald Sun said he got woken up by the stabbing, so you'd assume that he's got stabbed right from the start, otherwise he's just standing there with a knife. So he's got a knife in him for 4.5 minutes. That we can pretty well assume that, even though he hasn't said it directly. And he says there that he told his daughter to run. Now, I would assume he would have told her that right at the start. He wouldn't have left her there in close proximity to a woman with a knife. So he's just got the chronology wrong a bit there, I think. I would assume he would have, from the moment he realised there was a knife and he was being stabbed, he would have said, so she's run off, so she's now got 4.5 minutes to go and find something to do while he's standing there with Shoma. But he does say to her, stop, Shoma, stop, please, we must talk. Now that doesn't take 4.5 minutes to say that. So this 4.5 minutes is becoming a bit problematic for this total bullshit story.
You fought her.
Yes.
You grabbed the blade.
Blade, because I knew that if she's going to push more, I'm going to die.
So was that during the 4.5 minutes, or was he there for 4.5 minutes saying, we must talk, Shoma, and his daughter's running off and he's got the knife in him? Or was it after the 4.5 minutes that he decided to grab the knife? We'll have to be very close to the end of the 4.5 minutes, because I wouldn't imagine a melee would have lasted too long with him grabbing a blade with his fingers.
Bleeding profusely, Roger still managed to call his wife Maha at work.
I said at the start that I was going to try and put everything in chronological order, but they're so mixed up. I just didn't know where to put this. But look, at one point in time, he's rung his wife. He was able to, still had his faculties and wasn't that bad that he could ring someone. He could make a phone call. They obviously did ring 000. They would have certainly rung 000, which I would have thought would have been the first thing I would have done. But then again, maybe he was aware someone else had rung 000. Again, this is where they've inserted this in. But anyway, he's rung his wife. Oh. And what's he said? Oh, hi, honey. Look, you're not going to believe it. You know that person in the burqa that we don't know what they look like? Oh, I'm going to get to that in a minute. You're not going to believe it. She stabbed me.
Neighbours, including Roger's best friend Mustafa, rushed to help.
So here's Mustafa, not a witness to the stabbing, but he actually gets involved in the proceedings to do with the terror attack, as you'll see in a minute. Now, they're only interviewing him now, which is a couple of months after the actual event. Now, he's still in the courts, so it wasn't like they couldn't talk to him because, there's a court case coming up. It's still going. It's ongoing. So that's not a reason why they are suddenly parading him around now. Because if you recall, the only people they spoke to was this doofus and this doofus, who were supposedly just residents and just said, oh, what a good bloke he was and how terrible it was that it happened. And we're all scared now. But this guy wasn't around, Mustafa. They've just paraded him out now. Now, it's really interesting. I think one of the tactics that they've got now to cover themselves and try and hide, not get caught out on all the lies that they're telling. So they hold back on this guy being interviewed. That way they can go over all of the script and see if anyone hasn't followed it or the script wasn't quite written right, and they can make corrections. Because if they had this guy right at the start, and there's a greater chance he's going to contradict some idiot who hasn't read the script correctly, or the script has been written wrongly. So I think that's the reason why this guy wasn't there right at the start. But anyway, Mustafa's here now. Let's hear what he's got to say.
All blood all over.
One neighbour staunched the bleeding, while Mustafa ran inside to restrain the alleged attacker.
Okay, so what's Mustafa's role? Why is he being paraded out? Well, his role is to fill in the gap between when the victim, Roger, was stabbed and when police arrived. That's his sole role in this story. That's why they've inserted him in. Now, we've got the one that staunched the bleeding. We haven't heard from them. They may, they may run this story again in a couple of weeks. Terror is real ongoing. Well, they don't have to stage another event. They can just keep milking this one every couple of weeks instead of doing an event every 3 weeks. They just keep adding to this story. Again, they can then cover their tracks on any mistakes that they've made in the script or people have said as they've been reading scripts. Again, I'll just reiterate, they leave so many gaps in these stories that you can never get a timeline of where everyone's at a particular point in time and track exactly what occurred, and they do that on purpose because nothing did occur. Now, they leave out how Mustafa got alerted to the whole thing happening. They kind of jump in to his role, and that's pretty much all they're going to tell us, that he went in to subdue and restrain Shoma. But trying to piece it together, we know, well, we've been told that the daughter left, and then for 4.5 minutes, Roger was inside with a knife in him before he then tries to grab it and have a bit of a scuffle with her. But for 4.5 minutes. So it could, now she knows that her dad has been stabbed and he's in danger, so she's not going to run and hide under the bed. Kids are pretty smart. They're unpredictable, but I'm pretty sure most kids would run outside. Now, Mustafa's his best friend, so she would know who he was. So she would have gone looking for him or gone outside and perhaps seen him, or she would have gone for help. So that's, even though they haven't said it, that's about as best as we can piece together how Mustafa, from their story, because he didn't get involved, but what they're trying to say, he got involved from their lie. So that lie that she ran outside and ties up with his lie that he's gone inside. So we'll piece together those for their lie. So he's dead. Now, it's been 4.5 minutes. Now, she would have found him probably quicker than 4.5 minutes. Like I said, that's a long time. Now, he hasn't gone in straight away. He then says he sees blood. So he doesn't say he goes in to rescue Roger and to fight her off. Apparently, Roger's come outside, and then the famous white chair comes into play. And that's an outside chair. He wasn't sleeping in that chair. We don't know how he was sleeping. There was a floor there. Again, they've left that out on purpose as to exactly what his sleeping arrangements were. Oh, this is just so fucking much bullshit. But anyway, the problem I have with Mustafa running inside, so he hasn't gone in to rescue him, so he's come out. Roger's come out, and Mustafa's seen him there covered in blood. And he's gone, obviously Shoma, the person in the burqa, has just stabbed him. And now he's gone inside. I mean, what? No one would go inside. You'd wait for the police. Let's call the police and we'll just keep an eye on things. The daughter's out here, and the wife wasn't home. She's not mentioned throughout the whole. Oh, no, that's right. She was at work, yeah. Because he rang her at work instead of ringing 000. Oh, Mustafa didn't call 000, and neither did the person staunching the blood. So we never ever find out what actually was the initiation, what initiated the police coming to this event. This attack. They haven't tied up that part of the story yet. They've left that bit out. So, so Mustafa has just charged headlong into a person with a huge knife. Now, he's unarmed. They don't show him with a fence paling like Sevi at Minto. He doesn't talk about that. He doesn't say, I grabbed the weapon and went back in. He's just got in there. He's not real tall himself. Yeah, in fact, he's a lot smaller than Roger. Roger could, he fended off Shoba and managed to escape. She stayed inside, didn't follow him, didn't try and stab him anymore. He's only got the one stab wound. Can you see how many holes this has got?
Mustafa, what else did she say to you about coming to Australia?
Okay, so they've jumped to this now. So apparently they've jumped to where she's been subdued and restrained, and Mustafa's having a calm conversation with her. For some reason, this mad terrorist, has ceased her attack. I always wondered what happened. This is really, really enlightening, except that they breeze over the hows and the machinations of the restraining and how she's gone from wanting to stab people, like for this, to not stabbing him. What did he tie her up? Did he pin her down? Are they having a cuppa? What's the context of Mustafa's apparently sort of calm conversation with Shoma? She's gone from mad terrorist to just having a conversation in the kitchen.
Yeah, I said to her, you come here, your parents sent you here to go to do the study, I say. And you, what are you going to do? No, I didn't come for that, she said. I come for this.
I come for this.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Okay, so we can see now that Mustafa, we don't know how, we don't know what the circumstances, but he's managed to restrain her some way, or not even restrain her, just get her into a conversation about her parents. And she says to him, I come here for this, because he says, I come here to study. How does he know all this about her? How does he know what did Roger go and tell him straight away? Oh, yeah, she's here to study. Here's her full story. You're going to find out in a minute that Roger didn't know what her full story was when she first moved in. Watch the Piper's full video on this. Roger and his wife, they don't even know what she looks like because she wears a burqa the whole time. But somehow Mustafa has all this info that he can have a conversation with her. Oh, your parents sent you here? Well, how does he know that? In fact, later in the story, they said she had a relationship with some terrorist over in Bangladesh. They don't mention her parents, but somehow Mustafa knows all about her parents to have a conversation with her. Oh, even though they try and delay writing these scripts and they go over it, try not to look stupid, try not to, make it look as genuine as possible, they just can't do it. It's just so much fucking bullshit.
This is the knife, Martin. Very similar to this knife. She stabbed me on my neck.
How far in did the blade go?
About 3 centimeters.
That went that far into you?
Yeah.
There's the blade, and that's how far he reckons it's gone into him. So let's just have a quick look at the wound. Okay, well, the first observation is the wound seems to have 2 different angles to it, and that's a flat blade. So it looks like he's been stabbed twice, once in that direction, once in the other. But he doesn't say that. He says he only got stabbed once. So that wound doesn't quite line up with the shape of the knife. And that wound is located clearly on the top of his shoulder. So if he was laying down, she would have had trouble sort of pushing it in horizontally. So we assume she's put it in vertically. So he's sleeping, apparently, in an upright position while holding his daughter. So looks like he's in a lounge chair. Now, okay, they didn't show the chair that he was in. They just showed where he was stabbed. But then he said that she was kneeling. So how would she kneel if he's in a high up chair? Like she couldn't kneel. He's insinuating that he was sort of somehow laying down and she kneeled next to him. But she couldn't actually inflict that wound from that position. See, this, getting a bit problematic now. Just even looking at this wound and the knife. Everything's just not adding up, is it? And of course, it won't add up because it's a load of garbage.
When this woman arrived, you got a shock, didn't you?
Yes.
Why did you get a shock?
I didn't expect this woman to be full burqa. You can't even see her eyes. She had a mesh. She was fully blacked burqa.
But refused to remove the burqa. Her identity is a mystery.
Right up to the time when she appeared on the paper, when we saw the face.
Okay, this is the really weird part. I'm just sort of finishing it up now. It's going on a bit long, this video. Just going through a few of the absurdities of it. So according to them, they didn't know what this person who lived in the house with their 5-year-old looked like until they saw her on TV after her arrest. Now, I'm sure there are some legal ramifications for whether they can give evidence in court Well, they just all they saw was a burqa walking around the house. They can't positively identify her, so there might be a few problems. But look, I'll just now jump straight to a bit of a hypothesis as to what this guy's going to get out of this terror event. The government's got what they wanted. This story and all this terror is real and ongoing, and let's just see what he's going to get out of it.
Roger, what effect has this had on your daughter, Shyla?
She's experiencing a lot of flashback at the moment. A couple of weeks ago, she said, "Dad, I'm seeing a lot of blood on the wall there. That's blood there, Dad." I said, no, darling, there's no blood there. She said, "No, that's blood there. Please wash it away."
Yeah, I didn't show the video of the actual story there. It's got the little girl in it, and she's a bit of an innocent victim in this. I'm not going to put her on my video where I'm sort of ridiculing this whole story, so I just leave her face out of it. And now, as far as what he's just said there, the reason why she's included and she's traumatized is that, look, there's other parts of the video. Look at the Piemans. He's got the whole video up there, and she can look at it anyway. He's done some great commentary, but basically they're going to be suing, and they've included her into the story now, so that will then be an extra claim for money. So that's what this is all about. That's what he's going to be getting out of it. And when you look at his injury, he reckons he's got a ruptured vertebrae, which
A ruptured vertebrae in his neck and severed tendons in his hand.
is like it's a ruptured disc. It's a hernia, and if you have a look at it, like here's a screenshot of the symptoms. Now, it could be caused by a traumatic injury to it, but it needs to actually damage the vertebrae. That where he got the stab wound. If you have a look there, he's just hit his shoulder. It's not even near his vertebrae. So I'd say, looking at all those symptoms, he's probably got a damaged vertebrae from lifting if he's been a nurse or something like that. But again, he wants all that fixed up, and he's going to claim it was from this. So this, from his perspective. And look, that wound, this doesn't even look like it was caused by that knife. It's probably been there for years. That looks like it's fake as well. But from his perspective, he's just all about getting a big compo claim. And, Greno had the fundraiser, and Sevi got the forest, the Fort Everest, and he's going to be getting a big compo claim. I'd say it end up actually probably coming from the taxpayer eventually. So it won't come from the Homestay Network. I'm not going to go into that. There's reasons why, but that's just what this is about. This has gone on long enough. I'm not going to keep going. But yeah, get on over to the Piemans channel, and all the rest of his work's good as well. So yeah, good shout, big shout out for him. All right.